I'm wondering what Luis Ariza's reaction would be when he finds out the Mariners don't want to pay him $20 million next year in arbitration. Because, fun fact, Luis Ariza has gone to arbitration with the Marlins twice because they haven't been able to agree on a number either of his 2 seasons in Miami. And I would imagine that doesn't leave a great taste in his mouth when the franchise that trades for him is like, yeah, actually, you're not worth enough money. And he's going from one cheap franchise to another slightly less cheap franchise. So don't set your expectations too high there, Luis.
But we will say he's not a guy you have to worry about regarding the T-Mobile Park factor because players like Teoscar Hernandez, who rely on power, it affected him last year. Singles play anywhere. So who cares where Luis Ariza is hitting baseballs? He played in Minnesota. He can hit in Seattle.
It's fine with me. He would fit right in. So now when the Marlins, Lyle, say everyone's available, is there anyone else you're looking at?
There has to be. There's 2 guys specifically I'm looking at because what do the Mariners still need when you look at bats? Second base, third base. I'll start with the less realistic one. We can spend a minute or 2 on him. The first guy is Jake Berger, another guy who just mashes, hit over 30 bombs last year. Doesn't play great defense at third base, but we'll circle back to it again. The Mariners are looking for offense at this point. If they're trading for these guys, it's for their bat. And while Berger doesn't walk a whole lot and the strikeouts can get up there, power is power. And he hits the ball with serious authority. So I don't know if the Marlins would trade him or not because they just traded for him. But they say everybody but Yuri Perez. Everybody but Yuri Perez includes Jake Berger.
Be interesting. They did, and they traded a not so insignificant piece to get him. They traded Jake Eater. So, so I would be kind of shocked if he was actually dealt in that place. They might listen, but unless you're getting Jake Eater back, I don't know why the Marlins would do that, especially if they were already saying, yeah, we'll get a young guy in here. Let's trade another young guy away for, even though we just traded a premium prospect for it. And then Jazz Chisholm too, Lyle.
That's the more intriguing one. I was just going to say, to wrap up on Jake Berger, he is not a free agent until 2029. So that would probably be a tough trade to swing. It'd be great, but tough. I think Jazz Chisholm is a much more interesting and much more potentially realistic one. Look, he played the outfield this year for the Marlins because they needed him to, and he learned it on the fly. He is a second baseman. If the Mariners were to trade for Jazz Chisholm, he'd play second base. Slide right in. Would make a lot of sense. He'd probably cost a lot less than Berger. He'd cost less than Ariza. And it's a guy that would certainly make a lot of sense for this team.
You know what the Mariners need, Lyle? They need swag. They need flash. They need flair. Not saying there's not any already, but they want to become the swaggiest team in baseball. This is your guy. This is him. They say this guy's him. Jazz Chisholm is him when it comes to this. I want the glasses. I want the chains. I want the bat flips. I want the trash talk. I want all of it.
Is he dyeing his hair teal too?
Ooh. Don't tempt me.
That would be pretty sick. I would be all for a dyed teal hair version of Jazz Chisholm. The only thing is he is super swaggy. However, he doesn't always get the chance to display it because he's not always on the field that much. He's battled a lot of injuries.
That's a risk. How many years of control does he have?
Jazz has, he has 3. He has 3 years of control compared to 2 for Ariza. So he is club controllable. You would have him for an extended amount of time. And again, he makes a lot of sense. He fits an area of need. The only thing is, then you have Mitch Garver, Mitch Haniger, and Jazz Chisholm all being relied upon to produce when all those guys get injured very, very often. Now, look, when Jazz is playing, he's really good. 2022, he lit the world on fire. He put up a 136 WRC+. The start he got off to was nuts. And last year, he came back down to earth, but you know what? He was still above average. He was at 103. But Jazz Chisholm is still an upgrade at second base, especially if you can buy, if he can be somewhere between 2022 and 2023. Another guy where, again, he'll probably cost less than Ariza. So I would call Peter Bendix, the new GM of the Marlins, and pick up the phone on him too.
And you remember, there's a reason that offense might have gone down. The Marlins asked Jazz to play center last year. Yeah. And when you're learning a new position, it's a little bit harder to focus on hitting. So, but he did do it. He's actually okay in center field.
I think Jazz would make a lot of sense. I think we circled Jazz Chisholm last year because we thought there was a chance he could get traded. The Marlins are really listening to offers. Like, would Jazz Chisholm cost one of your starters, or could you just package some prospects for him? I don't think he would cost a starter.
I think the prospects.
Mm-hmm. And I would think long and hard about that one, because then all of a sudden,
just depends what the Marlins want. We can't. The Marlins don't care about winning. That's clear. So that makes judging what the value of a trade would be with them a little bit different than some other franchises.
Right. I will also warn anybody listening, Jazz is another guy that strikes out a lot. So the Mariners may have some strikeouts in their lineup again. But again, you think he's going to be a productive player, play good defense, and be able to hit pretty well at second base. You do it, especially if it's not going to cost big leaguers or significant big leaguers.
Oh, okay. Well, the Marlins are essentially up for sale, Lyle, and it's up to First Avenue. What's the ownership group? First Avenue Entertainment LLP. Make it happen. It's an option. I will say, okay, so we have the two most realistic options: Arise and Chisholm.
Yeah,
one doesn't strike out, one does strike out. Both bring offensive upside. Both will be expensive by the time they make it to free agency. So, to each their own. Luis will be more expensive. Jazz would be more affordable, more risky though. So that's it. But thanks to the Marlins for giving us some content. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Hopefully they can give us some more if they actually pull off one of these trades. That'd be awesome.
We'll see. I mentioned earlier in the episode, there's still a move coming. There has to be one more move coming, I would imagine. Otherwise, people are going to be pissed. There is still all of that money remaining in the budget. Something's going to happen. A move from Arise would fit there. A move for Jazz Chisholm would fit there. Said Blake Snell. That would fit there too. There's still the options there, which is nice.
Let's
see what happens.
Can't wait.
Before we get to Speak Your Mind, let's hear a word from our friends over at Simply Seattle. If you're a fan of any Seattle sports team, Simply Seattle is your place to go for all the best gear. They have shirts, they have hoodies, they have hats, they have all the good stuff. So if you want to go check it out, if you're a fan of the Kraken, Seahawks, Mariners, Huskies, Sonics, go check them out at simplyseattle.com, and you can use our code Marine15 for 15% off your order. Again, that is code Marine15 for 15% off your order at simplyseattle.com if you want all the best Pacific Northwest gear to line your closet in this new year of 2024.